Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 10. We want to present about Business Statistic, Set B.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Asma binti Latang. My number matrix is 821-82740. So today I would like to explain about the introductions. So the introductions of this report is the data is collections of any numbers of the rates of observations. It is possible to perform descriptive statistics such as meaning, mood, and median using the data that has been gathered and analyzed. The data set includes 92 out of 160 random cases is on the highest metrics, the number of members of our group. The variable selected are parse, rate, length, and height. The data set may further generate algorithm for certain kinds of software for testing purpose. Some modern statistical analysis software such as SPSS helps us to analyze the chosen data set. Our data set is secondary data, which is secondary data is data that not allowed, not collected, and used for the original purpose of the study at hand, but for some people another purpose. In other words, we use existing data for other purpose.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur binti Aziz. Now I want to present about sampling data and categorical data. Data sampling is a statistical analysis technique used to select, manipulate, and analyze a representative subset of data points to identify patterns and trends in the large data set being examined. For sampling data was taken from a random 60 observations from the data file, then combine that to the two lowest digits of the ideal number, group numbers, and the last two lowest digit that he will be 01, which is the ideal number A22401. Statistic made up of categorical, qualitative variables that have been categorized are known as category data. The name or label that the category variable accepts as a value. From what we have created, this set has two categories, namely place and species. There are several categories of place, namely Canada, Ireland, Malaysia, Singapore, Turkey, and USA. For the species category, it has perch, pike, roach, smell, and stingray. These are descriptive statistics showing data sets such as minimum, maximum, mean, and standard deviations for all categories.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul and Amalina binti Azman. My metric number is 821-83424. In this video, I would like to present about the numerical descriptive measures. Measure of central tendencies. A central tendency measure is a single value that shows where the middle of a distribution is. Most of the time, there are three ways to measure the tendency of both ungroup and group data. Number one is mean. The mean is the sum of the value of each observation in a data set divided by the number of observations. On the other hand, the mean is the average of a data set, and it is also known as the arithmetic average. Number two is median. The median is the middle number in a sorted ascending or descending list of numbers and can be more descriptive of data set than the average. Lastly is mode. The mode is the value that appears most frequently in a data set. Next is graphical representation. Graphic representation is the use of easy-to-understand charts to show data sets and make them easier to understand. Data is put into graphing software, and then lines, bars, or pieces of a pie are used as symbols to show the data. Also, since these are quantitative variables, they can be shown with a scatter plot, histogram, frequency polygon, or a GIF. In this part, we will use a line graph and a histogram to show the height and weight. Histogram. A histogram is a bar chart that shows how the frequencies of a set of data are spread out. A histogram graph can be made in a number of different ways. The first step is a quantitative horizontal scale or x-axis that measures the values of the data at the middle of each class, while the vertical or y-axis scale shows how often or how many people are in each class. Also, the bars that are next to each other must touch each other. Instead of class limits, the bar show start and end at class boundaries. Below is a list of the frequency or total frequency in the middle of each group and a graph calling a histogram. From the histogram, we can see that the graph is level with the x-axis and the midpoint. The graph starts with the midpoint at 100.5, where the frequency is 39, and ends with the midpoint at 1300.5. where the frequency is 1, so we can say that the fish with the highest weight in grams are between 1 and 200 because this class has the most fish in it. Next is line graph. A line graph, also called A line plot or line chart is a type of graph that shows how lines connect different data points. A line graph depicts quantitative values over a specified time interval. In finance, line charts are often used to show how the price of an asset or security has changed over time. In line graph, markers for data points are connected by straight lines. These straight line data points make it easier to look at the data visually. Line graph can be used for many different things, but they are especially useful when you need to show how values change over time in a visual way. Line graph have two axes, the horizontal axis and the vertical y-axis. Vertical. Each axis shows a different type of data and the points where they meet are marked. The x-axis is called the independent axis because none of the measurements affect its value. The x-axis sets the value for the y-axis, so the y-axis is called the dependent axis. From the line graph, you can see that the graph begins at 2, where the total number of occurrences is 11, and ends at 14, where the total number of occurrences is 6. From this, we can say that fish are class 5 to 9 are the highest.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Anis Faihana binti Jafri. My number matrix is 81A2401. My part is 5.0 Statistical Analysis using Excel and SPSS. First, Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet that the company has created for Windows, Mac OS, Android, and iOS. It has a capability for calculating or computation. The Microsoft Office program package includes Excel. It features several built-in functions that can provide statistical results. Second, SPSS is also known as Statistical Package for the Social Science. SPSS offers data analysis service for group identification, numerical outcome, prediction, and descriptive statistics. To manage data effectively, this software also offers data transformation, charting, and direct marketing features. 5.1 Numerical Descriptive Measures. In my observation, mean median mode for where calculated manually and calculated by Excel, it has no differences between them. The standard deviations calculated manually and calculated by Excel, they have a differences which is 154.18 values difference between them. Variance for Excel calculated manually and by Excel, it has a differences between them for range minimum and maximum calculated by manually, and those are the same as those computed by Excel. Lastly, the answer for percentiles for quarter 1 and quarter 3 by using manually, although using Excel are similar. 5.1.1 Draw graph by using Excel software. We use Excel software to do a graph. In this part, we want to compare the dataset graphical by drawing on paper and using Excel software. 5.2 Hypothesis Testing. For testing purpose, a hypothesis is an assertion, statement, or assumption based on some prior observation regarding the value of a population parameter. The hypothesis testing that we can see, the first is t-test. This is a step 1, step 2, and the step 3. This is a step 4 and step 5 for the t-test. In this part, we can see that the price, it has divided to 2, which is equivariance assumed and equivariance not assumed. We can see the DF for price equivariance assumed is 22, while price equivariance not assumed is 15.718. That means they have a changes in DF. Other than that, the lower and upper for both of them also have a differences between it. The next part is ANOVA. ANOVA is divided to 2, which is ANOVA for price and ANOVA for weight. First, ANOVA for price. The step 1 is state null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Step 2, state the level of significance. Step 3, compute test statistic or SPSS output, which is in the table. Step 4, decision rule, and step 5, making a decision and forming a conclusion. In the conclusion, we reject HO and conclude that there is a significant difference among the treatment means. Second, ANOVA for weight. Step 1, state null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Step 2, state the level of significance. Step 3, compute test statistic or SPSS output, just like the table. Step 4, decision rule. And the last step is making a decision and forming a conclusion. We also reject HO and conclude that there is a significant difference among the treatment mean.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nur Iza binti Muhammad Taib and my matrix number 81834552. Next is 5.3 Correlation Analysis. Perform correlation analysis using the variables of interest. Correlation is a statistical technique used to determine the degree to which two variables are related in statistics. The word correlation refers to the relationship between two variables. We wish to be able to quantify these relationships, measure its strength, develop an equation for predicting score, and ultimately draw testable conclusions about the population. A relationship exists when change in one variable tend to be accompanied by consistent and predictable change in the other variable. In correlation analysis have four steps. Step 1 is hypothesis, step 2 is significant level, step 3 Excel output, and step 4 is decision rule. 5.4 Confidence interval. Confidence interval is a range of value within which the population parameter is expected to occur. The 95% confidence interval can be related confidence level. The lower boundaries and the upper boundaries for Boston are 9.6679 and 29.572 respectively. The difference between lower and upper is 19.893. The lower boundaries and the upper boundaries for weight are 0.866 and 0.907. The difference between lower and upper is 41. We are 95% confident that the dependent variable is price. Next is 5.5. Prediction modeling. Multiply line registration allow us to use several variables at once to explain the variation in a continuous dependent variable. Besides that, it allows us to isolate the unique effect of one variable on the continuous dependent variable while taking into consideration that other variables are affecting it too. In the scatter plot matrix, graph 1 plot weight against price. It is seen that the highest the weight, the highest is the price of the fish. Graph 2 plot weight against species group. Generally, the graph shows a positive weak correlation. Graph 3 plot price against species group. Generally, the good or high quality species of fish, the higher is the price. Next is table for correlation. The R value between species group and weight in 0.600. Price and weight is 0.994. Thus, weight is associated with both species group and price. Next is the R value between species group and price is 0.628, which is less than 0.85. Perhaps there is no problem of multicollinearity. Table for test of normality. The Shapiro-Wilk test of normality on the species group, price and weight give a p-value of 0.00, which is less than 0.05. Thus, the assumption of normality of this is not met. For model summary, the R-square value is 0.444, which means 44.4%. Of the variation in species group can be explained by weight and price. For table ANOVA, the p-value from the ANOVA table is less than 0.001, which means that at least one of the two variables, weight and price, can be used to model price. For coefficients, thus for every unit increase in price, species group will go up by 0.018, provided the weight remains unchanged. 95% confidence interval for price is 0.008, 0.028, where the value of 0 falls within the interval, again indicating price is not a significant predictor, whereas the 95% for weight is negative 0.022, negative 0.004, where the value of 0 does not fall within the interval, again indicating weight is a significant predictor.
In conclusion, the study aims to calculate and interpret the measures of center tendency, variations, and positions for the secondary dataset. Descriptive statistics and inferential statistics are the most common types of statistical analysis. In this report, we know that about the data and how it was collected, analyzed, and interpreted. That's all from me.